The smell of roast turkey and freshly baked pumpkin pie filled my parents' suburban home as another Thanksgiving gathered the Sullivan family around the dining table. I adjusted my simple sweater, feeling distinctly underdressed among my siblings' designer outfits and expensive watches. "Pass the gravy, little brother," Marcus called out, his Rolex catching the light as he reached across the table. "Oh, and did I mention? Anderson and Mills just promoted me to Senior VP of Acquisitions." Our mother practically glowed with pride. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. Isn't that wonderful, James?" She nudged our father, who was already nodding enthusiastically. "That's my boy." Dad beamed, following in my footsteps just like I always knew you would. I passed the gravy boat, trying to ignore the familiar ache in my chest. 10 years ago, I disappointed them all by declining a position at Dad's firm to start my own business. Independent consulting, they called it with barely disguised disdain. "Speaking of business," Marcus continued, straightening his Italian silk tie, "we're closing a huge deal next month. $40 million contract with Global Tech Solutions." He paused for effect. "Largest acquisition in the company's history." Our sister Megan, herself a successful corporate lawyer, raised her wine glass. To Marcus, the family's golden boy. Everyone raised their glasses except me. I was too busy processing what Marcus had just said. Global Tech Solutions. My company. Well, one of them anyway. "What about you, Daniel?" Mom turned to me with that familiar look of concern she'd perfected over the years. "Still running that, what do you call it?" "Summit Business Solutions," I supplied quietly. His mom. "Still running it." Marcus snorted into his wine glass. "Running it? More like hiding in that tiny office downtown." "How many employees do you have now, Danny?" 2. 3. Something like that, I replied, thinking about the 300 people working across my companies, none of them knowing that the mysterious DS Wright who signed their paychecks was actually Daniel Sullivan, the family disappointment. "You know," Marcus leaned forward, his voice taking on that condescending tone he'd mastered since childhood, "Anderson and Mills is always looking for good people. I could put in a word, get you a real job. Starting salary is only 6 figures, but it's better than whatever you're making with your little consulting thing." 6 figures. I suppressed a smile, remembering the 8-figure deal I'd closed just that morning. But they didn't need to know about that. "Not yet. Thanks, but I'm good," I said, reaching for the mashed potatoes. "Good." Marcus laughed loudly. "Danny, real executives make millions. They drive luxury cars, live in penthouses, make deals that actually matter. When was the last time you closed a deal worth more than a few thousand? If he only knew about the contract sitting on my desk waiting for his signature tomorrow. The one that would determine whether Anderson and Mills survived the next quarter. "Leave him alone," Mom sighed. "At least he's trying. We can't all be as successful as you, Marcus." Dad nodded sagely. "Some people just aren't cut out for big business. Nothing wrong with that, son." He patted my shoulder sympathetically. "As long as you can pay your bills, right?" I thought about my multiple homes, the private jet I'd bought last year, the offshore accounts that would make Marcus's yearly bonus look like pocket change. "Right, Dad? Just paying the bills." "Well, I have more exciting news," Marcus announced, clearly tired of discussing my mediocre career. "About that global tech deal. I'm meeting with their CEO tomorrow. Nobody knows who they are, very mysterious, but I've got it handled. By this time tomorrow, I'll have their signature on the dotted line." I took a sip of water, hiding my smile. Tomorrow's meeting would certainly be interesting. "That's the difference between us, Danny," Marcus continued, warming to his favorite topic, my failures. "I'm out there making real moves, changing the business landscape, while you're probably still working on spreadsheets for local shops." Our cousin Peter chimed in from across the table. "Hey, those shops need help too. Though," he lowered his voice conspiratorially, "I heard Global Texo is ruthless. They say half their acquisitions end in complete takeovers. Better watch out, Marcus." Marcus waved his hand dismissively. "Please. I've never met a CEO I couldn't charm. This deal is practically done. In fact." He raised his glass again. "To the biggest deal of my career. $40 million, baby." Everyone cheered. I quietly checked my watch. 16 hours until our meeting. "Don't you want to celebrate your brother's success?" Mom nudged me, frowning at my untouched wine glass. "Oh, I'll celebrate tomorrow," I said softly. After the contract is signed. Marcus mistook my meaning and grinned. Tell you what, little brother. Once this deal goes through, I'll take you to my tailor. Get you a proper suit. Can't have you looking like a small-time consultant forever. I glanced down at my casual sweater, remembering the custom-made suits hanging in my penthouse closet. The ones I wore to board meetings where I made decisions that affected thousands of careers, including very soon my brother's. Thanks, Marcus. That's generous of you. That's what successful brothers do. He laughed. We take care of the family underachiever. As dessert was served, Marcus held court, detailing his plans for after the global tech acquisition. New house, new car, maybe even a small yacht. Mom hung on every word while Dad beamed with pride. I stayed quiet, eating my pie and thinking about the documents waiting in my office. The ones that would show exactly who the real underachiever was. The next morning, I arrived at Global Tech's headquarters 2 hours before the scheduled meeting. My real office, not the small downtown space Marcus thought I worked from. The top floor of a gleaming skyscraper, where floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city. Good morning, Mr. Wright. My executive assistant Sarah greeted me, already at her desk. Your brother's team arrived early. They're waiting in the main conference room. I smiled, removing my cashmere coat. How early? An hour. Mr. Sullivan has been telling everyone who'll listen about his guaranteed success rate with CEOs. She paused. He also asked if we could upgrade the coffee. Apparently, it's not premium enough for Anderson and Mills executives. Is that so? I straightened my bespoke suit, worth more than Marcus's yearly bonus. Let's not keep him waiting then. Through the one-way glass, I observed my brother holding court in the conference room. He'd positioned himself at the head of the table, my usual seat, regaling his team with stories of his past negotiation victories. The CEO doesn't stand a chance, I heard him say. Nobody says no to Marcus Sullivan. I checked my reflection in the glass. Gone was the casual sweater from last night, replaced by a Tom Ford suit that cost more than Marcus's car. This was D.S. Wright, CEO of Global Tech Solutions and 12 other companies, not Danny Sullivan, the family disappointment. Send in the legal team first, I instructed Sarah. Let's see how well he handles actual negotiation. For the next hour, I watched through the glass as my top lawyers systematically dismantled every argument Marcus presented. His confident smile faded as they found flaws in his proposal, questioned his company's financials, and demanded better terms. This is ridiculous, Marcus finally exploded. I demand to speak with D.S. Wright directly. That was my cue. The room fell silent as I entered. Marcus stood up, straightening his tie, ready to unleash his famous charm. Then he saw me. His face went through a series of expressions. Confusion, disbelief, shock, and finally horror. Danny. His voice cracked. What are you doing here? This is a high-level executive meeting. I know exactly what this meeting is, I said calmly, taking my seat at the head of the table. I called it. But. Marcus sank back into his chair. You run Summit Business Solutions. That little consulting firm. One of my companies, yes. I opened the contract in front of me. Along with Global Tech Solutions, Wright International Holdings, and about 10 others you've probably heard of. I smiled. Still think I need help with my spreadsheets? The blood drained from his face as realization set in. You're D.S. Wright? The D.S. Wright. The one your company's been desperately trying to make a deal with? Yes. I leaned forward. Though I have to say, after reviewing your proposal, $40 million seems a bit ambitious. Especially given Anderson and Mills' current financial situation. Marcus swallowed hard. What do you mean? I gestured to my legal team, who distributed new documents. Your company's been hemorrhaging money for months. That's why you need this deal so badly. But instead of doing proper due diligence, you've been busy bragging about your guaranteed success. This is a joke, right? Marcus looked around desperately. Danny, come on. Mr. Wright, I corrected him. And this is no joke. Your company has 2 options. Accept our revised offer of $20 million with new management oversight, or we can end discussions entirely. Your board already knows about your financial situation. How do you think they'll react when this deal falls through? Marcus's hands were shaking as he stared at the new contract. $20 million? But my promotion, my plans. should have been based on reality rather than arrogance. I stood up. You have 10 minutes to decide. Oh, and Marcus, that story you told last night about taking care of the family underachiever? Quite entertaining. I left him there, sweating in his Italian suit, and returned to my office. Through the glass, I watched him sign the revised contract with trembling hands. Within hours, the story spread through both companies. Marcus Sullivan, the rising star of Anderson and Mills, had not only failed to secure his promised $40 million but had been thoroughly outmaneuvered by his supposedly unsuccessful younger brother. That evening, my phone exploded with messages from family members. Mom, why didn't you tell us? All these years. Dad, son, I don't know what to say. We had no idea. Megan, holy shit, Danny. You're that DS right. The last message was from Marcus. You humiliated me. My career is over. I replied to him alone. No, Marcus. You humiliated yourself. I just showed you what a real executive actually looks like. Next week's family dinner would certainly be interesting. I made a mental note to wear one of my better suits. After all, I had an image to maintain now that I wasn't playing the role of family failure. My assistant Sarah appeared in the doorway. Your mother's on line 1. She's asking about Thanksgiving dinner next week. Apparently, she'd love to host it at your little downtown office. I smiled, thinking about my penthouse with its wine cellar and private chef. Tell her I'll host this year. It's time the family saw how the underachiever really lives. Sometimes success doesn't need to be announced with constant bragging. Sometimes it's better to let it speak for itself, preferably through a $20 million contract with your arrogant brother's signature on it.